At a Beverly Hills charity gala, Whitney Houston tells Tupac, "Your lyrics are too harsh for young people. Music should heal, not hurt." America's vocal queen just challenged the king of conscious rap. His calm, measured response doesn't just change her mind about hip-hop, it reveals something about privilege, perspective, and pain that makes her see her own success in a completely different light. Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure to watch until the very end. What Whitney says in the final moments will absolutely blow your mind and change how you think about music forever. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. We share these powerful stories regularly. Now let's see how Tupac completely transformed one of the greatest voices in music history. Beverly Hills Hotel, November 18th, 1994. The crystal ballroom sparkles with 1,000 lights. Chandeliers worth more than houses hang from gold-leafed ceilings. Persian rugs that museums would kill for cover marble floors. Everything designed to remind you that you've reached the summit of American success. But none brighter than the woman sitting 3 seats away from Tupac, Whitney Houston, 31 years old. The voice that sold 200 million albums worldwide. The woman who turned "I Will Always Love You" into the best-selling single by a female artist in history. The voice that can shatter crystal glasses and heal broken hearts with equal power. Tonight she wears a white Versace gown that costs more than most people's cars. Hand-sewn beadwork that took Italian artisans 3 months to complete. Diamonds that catch light like captured stars. Makeup applied by artists who work exclusively on magazine covers. She looks like perfection carved from marble, like a goddess who descended to mingle with mortals for one evening. Every man in the room steals glances. Every woman studies her technique. Every photographer wishes they could capture her beauty. Tupac sits in his simple black tuxedo. Rented, not owned. No flashy jewelry. No designer accessories screaming wealth. Just 23 years old and already carrying the weight of a generation's pain on his shoulders. The contrast couldn't be sharper. Whitney represents aspiration, the American dream achieved through talent and determination. Tupac represents documentation, American reality acknowledged through art and courage. One elevates people above their circumstances. The other validates their experiences within those circumstances. Tonight, these philosophies are about to collide. The charity gala raises money for underprivileged children. $5,000 per plate. The kind of event where Hollywood writes checks to feel better about inequality they never witness firsthand. Where guilt transforms into tax-deductible goodwill through strategic generosity. Where suffering becomes statistics discussed over champagne and caviar. Crystal champagne flutes catch candlelight. Dom Perignon flows like water. Conversations flow about vacation homes in Aspen and movie deals in development. Everyone here has made it beyond imagination. Directors whose films gross hundreds of millions. Actors whose faces sell magazines worldwide. Producers whose phone calls greenlight careers. But something's wrong with this picture. Whitney keeps glancing at Tupac with an expression that's hard to read. Not recognition, though she knows exactly who he is. Not interest, though his presence intrigues her. Something closer to concern. The expression of someone watching a car speeding toward a cliff. The worry of someone who thinks she sees danger that the other person can't see. The first course arrives. Lobster bisque that costs more than minimum wage workers earn in a day. Prepared by chefs flown in from Paris, specifically for tonight's event, served on china that belonged to European royalty. Each spoonful represents luxury that most people will never taste. Small talk flows around the table like expensive wine. Movie premieres where stars earn more for one appearance than teachers make in a year. Album sales measured in millions. Tour schedules that span continents. Standard wealthy celebrity conversation. But Tupac stays quiet. Listening. Observing. Taking in the bubble these people live inside. A bubble where poverty is a tax write-off, not a lived reality. Where helping people means writing checks, not changing systems. Where charity soothes conscience without requiring sacrifice. Whitney notices his silence. The way he watches instead of participating. The way he listens instead of performing. Most celebrities at these events compete for attention, tell stories, name drop, perform their success. Tupac does none of that. He observes like an anthropologist studying a foreign culture. She leans slightly in his direction. Her voice carries that famous warmth that made America fall in love with her. The voice that sold hope to millions of hearts worldwide. She asks what he thinks about the charity they're supporting tonight. Standard gala conversation starter. Easy question designed to generate predictable responses about feeling good and giving back. Tupac's answer surprises the table. He doesn't talk about feeling good about helping kids, doesn't deliver the expected grateful response about giving back. Instead, he asks why charity galas cost $5,000 per plate when that money could feed a family for 6 months. Why wealthy people need luxury experiences to motivate generosity. Why helping poor children requires expensive entertainment for rich adults. The table goes quiet. Forks pause halfway to mouths. Conversations at nearby tables continue, but this table freezes. Whitney's perfectly applied smile falters for just a moment. She's been to hundreds of these events, asked that question thousands of times, never received an answer that challenged the premise. She recovers quickly, explaining that high-ticket events raise more money than simple donations, that wealthy people need incentives to give, that psychology matters in fundraising, that this is how the system works, how change happens, how good gets done in the real world. Her voice carries conviction born from years of participating in this process, from seeing checks written and programs funded through exactly these methods. Tupac nods politely, but his next question cuts deeper. He asks how many people at this gala have actually spent time in communities they're claiming to help. How many have walked through housing projects where children sleep on floors because their parents can't afford beds? How many understand what desperation actually looks like when it's not framed as a photo opportunity? How many know names of kids they're supposedly saving? Not just statistics about poverty they're supposedly addressing. The conversation at nearby tables starts to slow. People are listening now, sensing tension, recognizing that something uncomfortable is happening at the Whitney Houston table, something that threatens the comfortable assumptions that make events like this possible. Whitney's expression shifts. The warmth cools into something more defensive. Her posture straightens. Her voice gains edge. She points out that she grew up in Newark, that she understands struggle, that her music helps people escape their problems, gives them hope, lifts their spirits. That's what music should do, she continues. Heal people, inspire them, show them beauty exists, even in dark times. Her voice grows more confident as she speaks. This is her philosophy, her approach to art, her reason for becoming a singer, to give people joy, to remind them that love exists, to prove that anything is possible if you believe hard enough. Then she looks directly at Tupac and delivers the line that changes everything. Your lyrics are too harsh for young people. Music should heal, not hurt. The ballroom doesn't stop. Conversations continue at other tables. Waiters still serve wine. But at their table, everything freezes. Whitney just challenged one of hip-hop's most respected voices in front of Hollywood's elite. America's vocal queen just told the king of conscious rap that his art is wrong, that his approach to music is harmful, that his truth is too ugly for public consumption. Tupac doesn't respond immediately. He sets down his soup spoon carefully, dabs his mouth with the linen napkin, meets Whitney's eyes with calm intensity. When he speaks, his voice carries no anger, no defensiveness, just quiet certainty that makes everyone lean forward to hear. He asks Whitney a simple question that cuts through every assumption she's ever made about struggle, success, and responsibility. What do you think healing looks like to a 15-year-old girl whose mother sells her body to buy crack? The question hits the table like a physical blow. Whitney's eyes widen. Her perfectly glossed lips part slightly. She wasn't expecting this. Tupac continues, his voice never rising, but somehow commanding complete attention. Does healing look like pretending her reality doesn't exist? Like singing about love when she's never seen healthy relationships? Like promoting hope when her daily experience teaches despair? Or does healing start with someone acknowledging her pain? With art that says, I see you. I understand. You're not alone in this. The temperature at the table drops 10 degrees. Other guests shift uncomfortably. Some pretend to focus on their food. Others openly stare. Whitney tries to respond, talking about inspiration and positivity and the power of believing in better futures. But TUPAC isn't finished. He explains that Whitney's music serves people whose biggest problems are heartbreak and self-doubt. People with enough stability to dream about romance. Enough security to believe love conquers all. His music serves people whose problems are survival and systemic oppression. People who need acknowledgement before inspiration. Validation before hope. People who've been told their experiences don't matter, their pain doesn't count, their voices don't deserve platforms. For them, healing starts with truth. With someone brave enough to document reality instead of selling fantasy. Whitney's face shows confusion, then something approaching recognition. She's beginning to understand that she's not just arguing with TUPAC about music. She's arguing with someone who represents experiences she's been insulated from by success. Someone whose art serves communities her wealth removed her from. Someone whose harsh lyrics reflect harsh realities she no longer has to witness. But the revelation that really shakes her comes when TUPAC asks his next question. He asks her when she last spent time in the neighborhood where she grew up, when she last talked to people still living the life she escaped, when she last witnessed the problems her charity gala is supposedly addressing. Whitney's perfectly composed facade cracks. She realizes she hasn't been back to Newark in years, that her success created distance from the community that shaped her, that her perspective on healing might be shaped by privilege she didn't recognize. TUPAC doesn't attack her for this. His voice remains gentle, almost compassionate. He explains that privilege isn't evil, but it can be blinding. That success can create bubbles that feel like the whole world. That healing looks different when you're inside suffering versus looking at it from outside. Whitney sits in silence for nearly a minute, the longest minute of her public life. Around them, the gala continues. Speeches about helping children, auctions for vacation packages, the machinery of feel-good charity. But at their table, something profound is happening. Whitney is seeing her own success, her own art, her own assumptions through completely different eyes. She's realizing that her music's healing power might be limited to people with her advantages, that communities facing real crisis might need different medicine, that dismissing harsh truth as too harsh might be another form of silencing voices that already struggle to be heard. When she finally speaks, her voice is different, quieter, less certain, more curious than defensive. She asks TUPAC to explain what healing actually looks like for the people his music reaches. What follows is 30 minutes of conversation that transforms both artists' understanding of their role, their responsibility, and their relationship to the communities their art serves. Whitney learns about authenticity versus inspiration, about the difference between hope that ignores reality and hope that emerges from acknowledged struggle. TUPAC learns about the weight of representation, about how success creates platforms but also creates distance, about the challenge of staying connected to your roots when your life completely changes. By the evening's end, they've found common ground. Both want their art to help people. Both understand the power of music to change lives. Both carry responsibility for how they use their influence. The difference is their understanding of what help looks like. Whitney's healing focuses on elevation and inspiration. TUPAC's healing focuses on recognition and validation. Both approaches serve different communities with different needs. 6 months later, Whitney quietly funds a music program in Newark focusing on helping young people tell their own stories through art. She never publicizes it, never seeks credit, just creates space for voices like the ones TUPAC represents. Tupac, meanwhile, begins incorporating more melodic elements into his work, not changing his message, but expanding his methods of delivering it, making his truth accessible to broader audiences without compromising its authenticity. The collaboration never results in a song together, but it results in something more valuable: mutual understanding between artists who realized they weren't competitors, they were allies serving different parts of the same struggle. November 18, 1994, at the Beverly Hills Hotel, two music legends discovered that healing comes in many forms, that different communities need different medicine, and that the most important conversations happen when successful people remember where they came from. The night Whitney Houston called Tupac's music too harsh became the night she learned that sometimes harsh truth is the gentlest medicine for wounds that pretty lies can't reach.